Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Centeno. I am a corporate attorney. I am a graduate of UCLA and of UC Berkeley School of Law. I am a state delegate for my district, and I'm a commissioner for Los Angeles County. But before all of this, I am a Latina. I am a child of immigrant parents. I came from a low-income household. Statistically speaking, I'm everything that I'm not supposed to be right now. I am the 1%. And I do not mean the 1% of Americans that hold the majority of wealth in our nation. I mean, next slide please, the 1.3% of attorneys that are Latina. Thanks to my education and to the things that my parents did correctly, I get to be here tonight in front of you, an empowered person, somebody that can articulate my struggles and my journey, and that has an opportunity to pave a path for those that I love, for my family, and for my community. Now, I would like to talk to you tonight about the things that have helped or hurt me along my way. I could stand up here and talk to you about GPAs, about entrance exams, and putting together the most competitive application for college. But I want to talk about something more personal, something a little harder to talk about and possibly even uncomfortable. I want to talk about emotional intimacy between parents and children and how it impacts their ability to succeed not only in school but in life. The old method teaches us that parents need to push their kids to what they should be doing, sometimes even smothering them in academics, in sports, in music, while at the same time, inadvertently, leaving them woefully underprepared for the mental and psychological challenges they're going to face inevitably as they try to self-actualize and reach their highest potential. So, how do we do this? How do we take the technical skills and combine them with the emotional strength and mental strength that's necessary for our children to face the real-world challenges ahead? I believe that there are three main actions that we can take to make this happen. Next slide. It's about getting in sync with our children's moment-to-moment experiences, okay? Number one is listen and empathize. This means being able to put yourself into another person's shoes, to think to yourself, if I was them and if I was living this moment, what would I need? What would I feel? What would I need for my parents to feel supported? When I started at UCLA, I was on financial aid. I had chosen the least expensive meal plan because I wanted to be savvy about my finances and about the loans that I'm taking on. Under this meal plan, students needed to go to their breakfast, lunch, and dinner within a certain window of time. If you weren't there in that window of time, you didn't get that meal. So in my first semester at UCLA, I had evening classes that really cut it close on that window. On one particular night, I was asking a professor some questions, and in spite of running across campus to try to make it, I missed that window. So that night, I went back to my dorm hungry. And I tried to do my studies, but my peripheral vision kept going to my roommates' snacks, chips, cookies, juice, and oh man, did I want those snacks. But I couldn't get myself to ask. And truth be told, my parents could have afforded to get me these snacks, but that history of seeking what I needed through them wasn't established, so I didn't even think to call. So it became unnecessarily hard. Of course, being hungry sporadically is not helping you in your studies. So we need to listen and to empathize. If we can't listen, we're not going to know what our children need. Studies have shown that a history of low emotional intimacy leaves children shy and conflicted about seeking attention and about seeking what they need. And this could leak even further into not being able to seek out mentors, which are critical to doing well. So we listen and we empathize. The second thing we do, we place a high value on education as a means to a better life. So as I stated, my parents did not do everything correctly, but in this arena, they shined. They inspired and they accommodated me to do my best, and they truly saw the value of education, even the monetary value of education. My educational journey began in community college. When I started at Cerritos Community College, I was holding a full-time job and going to school full-time. Like several of my peers, I felt this urge that I needed to help my family financially as soon as I could. I wanted to bring value to my parents. By the middle of my first semester, I had mediocre grades at best. And it made me stop and think. I don't want mediocre. I want excellence. I want to go to my dream school. I want to go to UCLA. And whether I want to admit it or not, working this full-time job is keeping me from putting in that studying time that I need to get those grades. So I worked up the courage to talk to my parents about it. And I was afraid. I thought they're going to think that I'm lazy, that I'm not contributing, even though I'm a grown adult now. When I brought this up to my mom, she looked me in the eye and she said, "Mija, the way that you bring value to this family is by focusing on your education. You bring more to us by going to that classroom than you do by holding this job." Wow, that changed everything. By the end of that semester, I had straight A's. It was the first time in my life that I had seen straight A's on my transcripts. And I realized the power that I had. But it only happened because my parents were able to emphasize the value of education. Next slide. So attentive and reliable emotional relationships are the basis for the sense of security. And not only for a sense of security, but for the ability to recognize our needs and to have a strong sense of self. So we listen and we empathize. We place a high value on education. The third and final action, we create a positive frame of reference. So a frame of reference, you can think of it almost like different sunglasses, rose-colored glasses. The pair that you have on is going to affect the way that you see the world and the way that you see yourself. Humans create their frames of reference based on their environment and their families. Children imitate their parents. They believe their parents. They mirror what their parents project on them. If we have fears, anxieties, and doubts about our children's abilities, or we don't see their full potential, they are going to have those same fears, doubts, and anxieties. We live in a time of historically high rates of anxiety, depression, even suicide among some of our most challenging and noblest professions, including doctors and attorneys. I think that we can change this through these actions. When I started in high school, I began with a lot of my other cousins that were around my same age. One of my younger cousins got placed into a special education program right at the beginning of 9th grade. This was interesting to me because up until that point, we had been in all the same classes. My cousin hadn't shown any of the classic signs of having special needs, but she got placed here. When I talked to her about it, she said, "Well, the high school said I need to be here, my counselor said I need to be here, so I guess this is where I'm at." I told her, "What did your parents say?" She said, "I just told you what they said." This is both a combination of not placing that high value and realizing, look, they're potentially taking something away from my child that is so important, an opportunity. If it was not for my cousin Liz, an older cousin we had that acted as a parent and as someone that got in sync with us, she knew who we were. She came every single day to that high school, to the principal's office, advocating for my cousin, saying she didn't belong in this program. How did she get in here? For better or worse, this has been a problem historically in our country and in the state, that children get filtered in these programs because of language barriers, socioeconomic reasons, or behavioral issues. I'm not sure which one of these got her there, but she was there. But Liz stayed there until they took her out of that program. My cousin went on to take AP classes in that same subject. She graduated from our high school with honors, and she went on to become one of the 14% of Latinos who have attained a bachelor's degree. And so much of it was because somebody was there. Luck. It shouldn't be so serendipitous that we are accomplishing these things. Next slide. And it's so important. Education is the foundation upon which all other aspects of personal and economic well-being are built. This is from the US Department of Education. Next slide. Yet, more Latinos live in poverty than attain a bachelor's degree. I truly believe that we can help to change these numbers by learning how to combine technical excellence, which we have gotten better at understanding, with emotional intimacy, with daily interactions with our children, where we are trying to listen and to empathize, where we are creating values in our family that show, look, we think education is important. We understand its value in you as a person and its monetary value. Like the previous slide said, it affects your jobs, it affects the neighborhoods you're gonna live in, it affects your health, the food you eat, the water you drink, your life. And for many of us, there are gonna be obstacles where we need this mental strength so that we don't define our value by what other people tell us. Trying to get to excellence, there are gonna be failures. There are gonna be ups and downs. And if we don't have our children have the emotional strength to know who they are, to have a sense of their value and a sense of their worth, they will let other people tell them. And with statistics like this, trust me, there are people ready to tell them that they're not good enough. I believe that if we can learn to use these tools, if we can combine technical excellence with emotional and mental strength, not only can we change the lives and the futures of our children, we can change the world. Thank you.